All right, let's dive in. If you're getting ready for those ATPL theory exams, well, some parts can feel pretty tough, almost overwhelming. Today, though, we're tackling one of those really vital procedures, visual maneuvering. Most people just call it circling approaches.
That's right.
So our mission for this deep dive, we want to cut through all the complex stuff, give you the core theory you need, but also mix in some practical know-how, all aimed at helping you nail those specific ATPL questions.
Yeah, absolutely. We've looked at a great breakdown from an A320 pilot, very practical, and also a really detailed aviation procedures text. So, solid sources.
Okay, perfect. So let's start at the beginning. What exactly is this visual maneuvering, this circling approach? Why do we even need it?
Good place to start. Fundamentally, it's a visual flight maneuver. Simple as that. You use it when the runway you want to land on isn't lined up for a straight-in approach after you finish your instrument procedure.
Okay, so the instruments get you close, but not quite lined up.
Exactly. Maybe the wind forces you onto a runway that the instrument approach doesn't directly serve. So this maneuver lets you visually fly around to line up with the correct runway.
Gotcha.
And the absolute non-negotiable part, and this is critical for your exams, remember this, the pilot must keep the runway in sight. The whole time.
The whole time during the circle.
The entire circling phase, yes. Eyes on the prize, basically.
So it starts with instruments, okay, but then it becomes all about looking outside. Does that mean it's, inherently less precise, more seat of the pants flying?
Well, that's the interesting part. You hit on something key there. No matter how precise your initial instrument approach was, could be a super accurate ILS, could be RNAV, the circling part itself. It's always treated as a non-precision approach.
Always non-precision, even after an ILS.
Always. Because you're navigating visually, and that means, more variables come into play. Each circling approach is kind of unique. Think about it. The runway layout itself, maybe winds shifting around down low, changing weather, cloud bases, it all impacts how you fly it visually. There isn't just one single way it works every time.
Okay, that makes sense. So if you're flying visually, often lower down, how do they make sure you don't, bump into anything?
Safety. That brings us to the visual maneuvering circling area, or the VMC area. It's basically your safety bubble.
A safety bubble. I like that.
Yeah, and this is important. Circling is only permitted inside the specifically defined area. You can't just wander off.
Right. So how do they actually establish this area? What defines the bubble?
It's not random at all. It's very precisely calculated. They determine it by drawing arcs, which are related to the aircraft's maneuvering speed.
Arcs based on speed. Okay.
Yeah. These arcs are centered on each runway threshold, so the ends of the runway, and then they're joined up by straight lines, tangential lines, creating the boundary.
And what influences how big those arcs are? What factors go into that calculation?
Several critical things. First, your aircraft category A, B, C, D, E. Then the speed assumed for that category. They also factor in a standard assumed wind speed of 25 knots throughout the turn.
25 knots, always.
For the design calculation, yes, 25 knots. And finally, the bank angle, they use either 20 degrees of bank or rate 1 turn, whichever needs less bank.
Okay, rate 1. That's the standard 2-minute turn, right?
That's the one. So category speed, that 25-knot wind assumption, and bank angle. Those define the radius and shape of the VMC area.
Now, about that speed factor, you mentioned aircraft category and speed define the area. Does this mean there's a specific universal maximum airspeed for, say, a Category B aircraft while it's actually doing the visual circling? That sounds like an exam question.
Good question, and you're right, it often is. Here's the crucial distinction you need for the ATPL exams. The VMC area's radius is definitely related to aircraft category and speed, as we said. But, and this is the key part, our sources do not state a single universal maximum airspeed that a Cat B aircraft must adhere to during the visual maneuver itself.
So the speed helps define the area, but it's not a strict speed limit within the area during the visual part.
Exactly. The radius is defined by certain speed assumptions for the category, but that doesn't translate into a hard maximum operational speed.
All right. Many thanks for listening to this free part of the ATPL Theory podcast. If you want to continue learning and access the full comprehensive guide, go to my Patreon at patreon.com/ATPLtheory or my Hero at herohero.co/ATPL. That is patreon.com/ATPLtheory or herohero.co/ATPL. Wishing you all the best.